What's going on, everybody? What's poppin'? Today's video is going to be about my story. Grab you some juju bees, get you some gummy worms, some gummy bears, get you them fat ass Cheetos that you be eating on. You know what I'm saying? If you vegan, get you maybe like I don't know, an impossible burger, maybe. I don't know. Plant-based, get you some cucumbers and some hummus or something. Get you something to snack on. Cause we about to talk about my story. You know what I'm saying? Never told my story before. This is my first time doing this. So I am excited to share a little bit about what has happened and how did I get to this point in my journey. Before we begin, though, I just want to share that for anybody who's looking to do some deep inner child work, you need some support, some space, and connecting with your inner child and healing. Place emphasis on that the inner child wounds, the childhood trauma that you have experienced. Please visit my website and set up a consultation, see if we're a good fit, and let's get it popping. All right. So let's get into this story though. So you guys gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna try my best to bring in some events, some time frames of when things took place. All right. And let's get it popping. Let's have some fun with this because we're gonna be talking about shit I ain't never talk about. You know what I'm saying? So all right. So my story, all right, my story. So let's say my story, it all started in 2016. 2016, around this time, prior to 2016, let me just give you a background. Prior to 2016, I for many know, many don't know, I'm from Louisiana, so I was working offshore at the time, working in the oil industry. And around this time, this is when the oil, what is the oil spill happened or something? The BP oil spill happened or something like that. No, 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 no. Matter of fact, it was after that. This was when the oil industry was going real bad. It was plummeting, like it was just bad. Like they was letting people go left and right. And in this particular part of my life, they decided to let me go after 6 years of working offshore. And with that being said, um, I didn't have a job. So in 2016, maybe like mid 2016, basically I got, laid off. And so in the midst of that, I decided to take all my money out my 401k and I basically just went on a I ain't working type vibe. Now, in the midst of this, me trying to figure out what I want to do next for my life and all this type of stuff, I met me a girl. Yeah, I did one of them. I met me a girl. Okay. So this particular girl that I'm referring to was a friend of a friend. So one of my partners had introduced me to her. And this was around a time where I was kind of going through a transition where I just got tired of talking to the women that I was talking to. So like I'm real deep into like learning and like mental stimulation and this also would like like a reciprocal relationship with someone. So I would love to learn from someone, et cetera, et cetera. So around this time I was deep into like the government and the government's intentions and the NWO and like Illuminati and conspiracies. Like that was like my frequency. That was like what I was vibing on at the time. And every woman that I came across, they couldn't really put me on. They couldn't really share nothing that they may have came across. So I kind of was like tired of that type of woman I was dealing with. And so by me deciding to let go of that version of myself or entertaining those type of women, I meet this particular woman that I'm referring to right now. Now I'm not going to say her name. We're just going to call her Pisces because she was a Pisces and she is a Pisces. Um, and so this particular girl was, like I said, I got introduced by one of my partners, and she is very beautiful. Okay. Definitely my type, you know what I'm saying? Just she had everything. Very intelligent, hyper intelligent, very fucking intelligent. She was deep into the spiritual works. She was also an amazing astrologer, things like that that I didn't know what the fuck what it was, but she was basically on a wave that I had not have access to. I didn't know nothing about, but she was putting the nigga on. You know what I'm saying? So during this time, you know, me and her finally connect or have you, whatever. Um, and we slowly, gradually started like picking up conversations, started talking more and more, started going out to certain events, starting to see we had a lot of things in common. And it got to the point where we was really feeling each other, and to the point where we started getting intimate and things like that. So you could say that basically I got into a situationship, because me and this person never got in a real relationship. We got into a situationship. And around this was around a time where, and like I said, we in year 2016 still. So around this time, I wasn't vegan. I wasn't plant based. I was still eating meat. I wasn't none of those things. She was already plant based. She was already vegan. And so she basically was like, "Yo, we had went to a vegan restaurant. No, we went to Zia's in New Orleans, and we was eating. You know what I'm saying? I was eating on some chicken, some herb roasted chicken, and we had smoked some weed before we went. You know what I'm saying? So I'm eating the chicken, and the chicken was like this. It was like it was like someone took a snapshot of it before it died or something. And so I'm high, right? And so I'm looking at the chicken like, yo, what's up with this chicken? And it was just, and I'm like, yo, like, what's up with the chicken? So it messed my mind up. And so she was being that she was already a plant based vegan or whatever. She was just like, yeah, like, won't you try plant based? And I'm like, I'm not fucking with that, and she was like, nah, like, try it. So she basically put me on to a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And basically I learned a lot about juicing and stuff like that. So she's like, going like on a juice cleanse, going like a 7-day juice cleanse or whatever like that. So I go on a juice cleanse. So, you know, I'm basically taking like 4 juices a day, maybe eating some bananas, some nuts in between or whatever like that, for like 10 days straight. So day 1 through 3 or 1 through 4, I hated it. I said, fuck this shit. I can't wait to go back to eating meat. This shit's stupid. It don't make no sense. I just hated it. Maybe like the 6th or 7th day, I felt so fucking amazing. I'm like, yo, like my body, my energy, everything was so elevated. I'm like, yo, like I feel so good. I never felt that good off of any. I never felt like that eating just meat. I like felt that off of just fruits and vegetables. I said, something ain't right about this food, because I really didn't eat nothing. All I was doing is just drinking and juicing. I'm like, why the fuck my body feels so amazing? That was a wrap. So I did 10 days of that. And so in the midst of that, I had lost like 10 pounds. My skin started clearing up. It was crazy transformation. And that's what basically made me transition to like plant-based vegan. So this like 2016. That's when I became like plant-based vegan. So we started eating like, obviously those type of foods and stuff like that. And in the midst of that, I wasn't like a spiritual person around that time, or had a spiritual awakening or anything like that. I just was hearing a lot of spiritual concepts. And of course, the woman that I was dealing with, she was an astrologer. She was a Pisces. So naturally, Pisces women, or people in general that are Pisces, naturally have like a spiritual inclination. So like she was putting me onto a lot of shit. um but I still, it wasn't, it was there for me, like I'm peeping it out, what I'm saying, like when especially like when you smoke weed or whatever, you can kind of like see how things interact, because you're in a different like vibe, a different frequency, so you can see how things interact. So I was seeing things happen that she was like teaching me, let's just say. But anywho, so boom, I became vegan, right? And in the midst of that, I started getting more into spirituality. Next thing me and her, we kicking it, what I'm saying. I'm not working. She's technically not working because she was about to graduate from school to be a dentist or whatever. So she was basically at her last, what you want to call it, semester or whatever, before she graduated. And so she got a call from a friend saying that young Pharaoh was about to come to New Orleans to do a lecture, and he needed somewhere to stay. So this is when I met young Pharaoh. And then me and young Pharaoh got real tight. And then I got hooked into more of his studies and his teachings. And of course, if you know young Pharaoh, especially around that time, he was cooking. He was cooking. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to young Pharaoh. That is my dog. I wholeheartedly have a great connection with young Pharaoh. And I haven't talked to him in a while, but I do have a great connection and respect for young Pharaoh. So definitely shout out to young Pharaoh. Um, and yeah, that's the homie. That's the homie. So he came down, you know what I'm saying? I met him for the first time. We going to all his lectures, pretty much ones that was close to where we stayed at. He'll come down in this area. We'll go travel to Texas or Atlanta or something like that. And so now I'm getting real hip more to what spirituality is, right? And so, I'm learning about all this stuff on YouTube, all this type of stuff. And so, in the midst of all of this, okay, this is where things get a little juicy. Me and the girl that I was dealing with, I really realized how much I liked her. Now, someone like me back in the day, I could say I had a lot of girls. I was a bit of a fuck boy. You know what I'm saying? Had a lot of girls, and around this time, I wasn't messing with a lot of girls. I just really wanted to be with her, and I was very particular on what women I wanted to be with. Like I was very like, you got to be nice for me to want to be with you, and she was fucking nice. You know what I'm saying? And so, in the midst of me learning all these new different things, interacting with young Pharaoh and his entourage, me going all these different lectures, all this exposure, I'm just getting all of this stuff coming to me. Um, I decided that I wanted to be with this particular woman. And so I remember it was yesterday. I told her, I went up to her and I said, look, um, you know, I've been evaluating or whatever like that. And I want to be with you. I basically told her that I cut off all my girls. All right. All of my girls. And it was a lot of them. I let all of them go because I realized I wanted to be with her. And I told her that. And around that time, she wasn't really vibing with it. She kind of just want to do like her single life type vibe. And like I get it now, right? But back then I didn't get it because I'm like, what you mean? Like we nice with it, you know what I'm saying? What you talking about? So anywho, me telling her that I want to be in a relationship with her, we didn't get in a relationship because she had a different mindset towards it. Let's just say. So that was the first stage of me kind of feeling some shifts happen within me because I realized how much I started to get obsessive over her and how much I really want to be with her, and I could not get that. And so fast forward, we still kicking it though, still doing what we doing. We traveling to different places or whatever like that. Cause like I said, I pulled all my money out my 401k. So I ain't working, I'm just spending money. You know what I'm saying? So we just enjoying our lives or whatever. And this is around the time when I start to realize how much I really want to be with this person and how much she did not want to be with me. And this also made me realize that I felt like I couldn't say certain things to her because it was like a karma type thing. I used to tell certain women, oh, I'm going to let you know right now. And I'm being vulnerable with you guys. I'm being fucking vulnerable as fuck right now. I used to tell women, if you want to be with me, no, I used to tell women, like, yeah, if you want to be with me, know that I don't want a relationship. So whatever happens, happens. And so if you don't want to like do what it is that we doing, this is your this is your insurance policy. I looked at it like an insurance policy. This is me letting you know that I don't want to be in a relationship. So if you decide to be in a relationship, just know that that's not what I want. Because I had a lot of occasions where a lot of women were crying over me because I didn't want to be with them and they wanted to be with me. But with this particular woman that I'm referring to, who I did want to be with, shit wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? If anything, it flipped. And I was experiencing what I was experiencing. I was experiencing what I used to tell to women. She was kind of reflecting that back to me. You know what I'm saying? So shit was crazy. And so in the midst of all that, we about to get ready to go we about to get ready to go to one of young Pharaoh's lectures that was out there in Atlanta. So at this point, I'm basically living with my mom. Me and the girl, we kind of on rocky terms. We not really doing nothing anymore. We not really connected anymore. Just kind of like we just vibing. It's not how it used to be. And this was like troubling for me because I was like, yo, like what happened to us? Like we was this and now we're that. And it's just like it was just so much stuff that happened. Like I was just so possessive and so infatuated and so obsessed over her. There's like I didn't care about nothing else. I looked at her like she was my fucking mission in life. I was like, yo, like I feel like I'm here to protect you. I'm here to be. I'm supposed to be. I just had this mindset of like she was my mission. Crazy shit, man, crazy. And so we going to this young Pharaoh lecture, right? And we're going there, and me and the girl, we still vibing or whatever like that. But it was just so off, and I could tell that we ain't gonna probably never. Excuse me. We probably not gonna never get back on that wave that we're on. So we go to the award show, whatever it was that was going on at the in Atlanta. And around this time, this is where I'm in my mind thinking to myself, she need to let me know, are we going to be together or not? Because she never verbally said it. She just was like, I ain't tell you to do that. I ain't tell you to go ahead and just stop talking to all your girls. Like she was more on that wave. I was like, yo, I need to know for certain. I need to get a no. I need to get the verbalization. I need to hear it. And later on that night, or when I was out there for those days or whatever. Maybe the last night. Yeah, it was the last night before I was about to come back to New Orleans because we drove out there. I asked her, I said, look, I just want to know, I just got to hear it. Do you want to be in a relationship with me? And she was like, no. Like, I bet. So that was all what I needed to hear. So, of course, we drove back home or whatever like that. Still cool. It was no bad blood or nothing. I just knew that it would never be nothing between me and her. And so I go back home. She go her way. I go my way. This was shit got interesting. This was shit got interesting because after that whole setup, after we stopped talking to each other, that's why I felt into a deep ass depression. I'm laying on my mama's sofa. I'm laying there. Granted, I ain't gotta go nowhere. I got enough money in my bank account. I got all my bills paid for. I had my car paid for. Everything was. I ain't had no bill, no money, no problem with bills, no problem with money. So I'm just laying in my mom and my dad house, just sitting in this motherfucker, just depressed as fuck. And around this time was when I really started to reflect on my life. And I started to realize, like, damn, I got laid off from my job that I really, really loved. I basically got rejected from a girl that I really, really loved. At the time, I didn't know that I loved her, but I did. And I don't have no education to where I can go pick up a job. Like I have high school education, but I don't have like a degree or a college degree or something like that. Because offshore, you didn't need like a college degree or anything. So like I was basically had no direction in life. I was like, yo, this is some depressing ass shit. I felt like I wasn't worth nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like everything that I tried to do up to this point, I got rejected or it got taken away from me. And so that's why I was like, yo, like, what's the point of being here? If I can't have the girl that I want, if I can't go back to the job that I desired or I loved, and now I don't know what I want to do with myself. I was like, yo, fuck this shit. And so this was interesting too. So around this period, around this time, it was very dark for me. I also had a bit of a spiritual awakening in this particular stage in my life. I don't know how it happened, but I knew I was seeing things that I was not supposed to be seeing or I've never seen to after me and this particular girl stopped talking. And the things that I was seeing was I remember one time I was watching Fresh Prince of Bel Air and I'm in my room and I'm looking at the TV. Like see how y'all looking at me right now? Just imagine like like a dark figure jumping in the background. Literally, that's how it was. Illustration, dark figure jumping in the background. I'm looking. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And so I like try to close in on it. It disappeared. There were other times where I'll go to sleep and I have nightmares of me having like some type of axe or some type of weapon or some type of something in my hand and I just killed somebody. And I wake up in cold sweats and my heart will be pounding because I thought I actually did it. There were other times where I was watching like, cause like I couldn't sleep. At this point, I was afraid to go to sleep. I was so afraid to stay in the house. I'll try to go stay in the car. Like it was bad. I remember it was one time I was watching Rugrats because what I'll do was I'll try to keep the TV on because I feel like if I hear something that feels like pleasant to me, I'll be able to go to sleep. So I would listen to like Rugrats in the background. There was a time where the TV station, when Rugrats was on, it turned off. It flipped off and a voice came on. Not making this shit up. A voice came on and it was saying, "You're going to blah, blah, blah." It was saying something. I forgot what the fuck it was saying. But I'm listening to the shit. And I'm like pretending like I'm asleep, like I don't hear it. But the bitch was like, "Hey, then you're going to blah 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 blah." I'm like, what the fuck? So I turned the other way to try to look at the TV screen. It went away. And I'm like, let me take it a little bit further with this shit. What I wound up doing was I actually reached out to a haunted house exterminator. I thought I had ghosts or spirits or demons in my house. So I reached out to a haunted house exterminator and they located in Texas because they ain't have none out here in New Orleans. And they was like, well, we out here in Texas. It'll take a while for us to get to you. But what you can do, they start telling me some things I could do to try to prevent from the spirits from like doing whatever they were doing or whatever. And at this point, I'm like about to tell my mom, and I'm like, yo, like, I think the house is like possessed or something. Like, and then like I'm trying to like see like how the fuck would that even play out? I'm telling that to my mom, you know what I'm saying? But like I was tripping. Like I was really going through some shit. And in the midst of that, every day when I woke up, and I swear to God, every day when I woke up, I had a voice in my head, and it would say, grab that knife and stab yourself in your rib cage. And I entertained it because I kept hearing it. And I'm thinking to myself, a version of me at the time was like, that seems like the easiest thing to do. Let's do that. But then another version of me was saying, I'm not thinking that. Why is it I'm waking up and I'm not like deliberately trying to think about that? It's just coming in. I'm like, something not right. Something not right about this. And I didn't really know what it was. I just knew every day I had to keep hearing these voices in my head. And so there was moments because I have like I stayed near like a park, a playground. I grab my little yoga mat or whatever like that, and I go out there in the middle of the baseball field, and I just lay there in the grass on a yoga mat, and I just wanted to die. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to do shit. I wanted to fucking die. I hated my life. I hated myself. I hated everything that I was experiencing around that time. And man, it was deep. It was real deep for me. I really didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do with myself. I just didn't have no direction. And then on make it matters worse, me and the girl that I was dealing with at the time, when we used to do everything. So we used to go to all the vegan restaurants. We didn't been to so many places. So when I try to leave the house and go to certain places, everything reminded me of her. So that's also was traumatizing for me. That also was made it worse for me because I'm like, bro, like everywhere I go, I think about her and I just get reactivated. So I was like, I gotta leave. Some told me, Josh, you gotta leave. You gotta get the fuck. So I started getting these synchronicities that I need to move to Austin. So I'm like, Austin, like what the fuck is in Austin? And so around this time, like I said, I was on my vegan journey. So I was like, well, Josh, how about you go back to school? How about you go be a vegan chef? So they had a vegan culinary school in Austin. So through so many synchronicities, and when I mean synchronicities, I mean every person I talked to, they was like, yo, I just came back from Austin, or yo, I'm from Austin. And I'm like, I've been here all my life. I ain't never heard nobody say they're from Austin since I've been living in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? So when I peeped that out, I said, all right, Spirit, you trying to get me to move to Austin. So I moved to Austin. Now I went out to Austin to get a certification in culinary, vegan culinary. And fast forward that whole experience. Um, as soon as I got my completion certificate, I said, I don't want to cook. I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to be a vegan chef. I don't want to be in none of these restaurants. It was so interesting. I went through the whole process and I was like, I don't want to do this shit. Because when I was working offshore, I was working in catering. So I was already cooking out offshore. So that's why I kind of had a background in cooking. But I didn't want to do that shit. So at this point, I stayed out there in Austin and I basically was jumping from Airbnb to Airbnb. And I didn't want to go back home because I felt like, I didn't move the way. What's the point of going back home? So I'm living in San Antonio, I'm living in Houston, I'm living in Austin, but I'm just coming out my savings. And I'm staying with other people in Airbnb. So I don't really have a place. And I realized like, bro, like I don't want to go work in the restaurant industry. So I'm like, you know what? I didn't have a plan. So I was like, you know what? I got to go back home. So that was a whole thing where I really was beating myself up because, they always say like, once you leave, you can't go back. I had to go back. And I would just say this just a side note for anybody who is listening to this story and they feel like they don't want to go back home and stay with their parents or they don't want to go back, period. Go back. A lot of people gonna judge you for it or whatever the fuck, but you gotta understand that the journey is not just a straight, narrow shot. Sometimes you gotta go back to move forward. Sometimes going backwards is moving forward. So if I didn't go back, I wouldn't be talking to y'all right now because I would have been out there trying to find a gig that I resonated with. And I didn't resonate with none of that shit out there. So I didn't fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's okay to go back if you can and start over again because that's the point of going back home, you know? So I went back home and so I'm back in the same four corner room looking at the wall, staring at the wall like I did prior to me leaving. But this time I told myself, Josh, if we go back home, we can't just stare at the wall. We just can't just stare and look into space trying to think about what we want to do with ourselves. We need to do something. And I was like, I don't want to fall back into a depression state because I realized when I was depressed, all I was doing was laying around all day. I wasn't doing nothing. When I went to Austin, I had to get out of my depression because I was going to school. So I had to be around people. I couldn't be like that around people. Um, and so when I got back here, I was like, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, well, what we gonna do? I didn't have no plan. I'm letting you guys know right now. I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. I know I didn't want to go back to college. I don't do college like that. I don't. I did college for 2 years. That shit not for me. So I knew I didn't want to do that. And I know I didn't want to work at it like a retail place or something or working at a fast food joint. I was like, nah, I'm not doing none of that shit. So all I did was, and I kid you not, um, all I did was I started working out. And this is something I always wanted to do because I never worked out. I never was a workout going to the gym person when I was in my teens. But when I got a little bit older, I was like, yo, I want to work out. Like I want to get into exercising. So all I did was do push-ups. I was like, Josh, just you don't know what you want to do, just start doing push-ups. That's what I did. I started doing push-ups. When I tell you push-ups, exercising got me out of my depression. Push-ups, exercising got me out of my suicidal ideation. Literally. And around this time, I was thinking to myself, because I'm feeling good. I'm like, why the fuck I feel so good all of a sudden? Da-da-da. Started doing research. Got the good feel hormones, the endorphins, the dopamines, the forgot the other hormone, serotonin. You got all these powerful hormones. And I'm feeling amazing after doing a workout. So I'm like, yo, like this shit is crazy. Like, I gotta figure this shit out. Like, what is going on? I got addicted to working out because I'm like, this shit feels great. It's like a light switch. I went from depressed to smiling, joking again, being in people's faces. I'm back out. I'm what is it? I'm out here. I'm coming out. Oh, I want the world. I was that guy. I want the world to know. I was that guy. You know what I'm saying? And this is when I start to gain interest in holistic wellness. This is where I start to gain interest in how does the body work? How does the mind work? How does it connect? How does the emotions influence all these things? Now, granted, like I said, me and the girl who I was dealing with, it was basically a rejection wound that I experienced from her that caused a type of traumatic episode. So I was still, you know, in my traumatic phases, but I wasn't allowing it to keep me, you know, in a slumber. I was able to move and move my body and get out of it. And so around this time, I decided to invest into Dr. Africa. And shout out to Dr. Africa, the late and great Dr. Africa for people who know who he is. Definitely a powerful, powerful man who came through and taught us a lot about health and wellness. So shout out to him. I took his course and I started getting into holistic wellness. So I really started understanding more about the mind and the nervous system and the emotions and certain eating habits and how to eat properly and food combination and all these different things. And then after that, things just kind of start to pick up gradually where I start to learn. I became a fucking nerd. Now around this time, I still wasn't working, so I was able to stay at home and study and work out, study. In the midst of that, I had developed one of the best transformations I ever had. My body was all aesthetically nice. I had the fucking rips like Dragon Ball Z, all of my rib cages and shit, the striations. I had the 6-pack abs. I ain't lying. I had the fucking chest, you know what I'm saying? I had the fucking muscles. I was killing it. I was just on it. I was just like so, bruh. I was on a whole nother wave. And fast forward, um, things just kept going up from there. I just kept studying and kept investing, and got into energy healing certifications, became a Reiki certified Reiki practitioner. I invested into what's his name? Brother Panic's course. I got into occult sciences, got into deeper into astrology. I got everything. Everything just took off. And so let's fast forward now because it's like I said, all this happened between 2016 to 2018. Fast forward, now we're in 2025, right? A lot of things transpired throughout all the years. And so now you're looking at someone who has took his trauma, his heart broke trauma, his that girl did not like me. That girl did not want to be with me. All the things that I went through, losing my job, all these different things. I took all of that and I utilized it and I transmuted it into something greater. Till this day, me and the person, the girl I told you guys about, the Pisces, we're still good to this day. I don't have no resentment. I'm not mad at her or anything like that. I've expressed to her numerous times, and I might give her a call after this video. I've expressed to her numerous times how much I'm grateful for what has happened between me and her and the things that transpired. Because if it wasn't for her to say no, if it wasn't for me to go through that experience that I went through, I would never be in front of this camera. I would have never did all the studying. I would have never went through this journey that I'm on. I would have never came into my spiritual awakening. None of that shit would have happened. And by the way, 2007, 2020, 2017, 2018, I was like 28. So you can also say that was my dark night of the soul. That was my activation to my dark night of the soul, was through a heartbreak. So with that being said, I am completely grateful for that experience. And I say that to say is that when people, for people that listen to this video, don't look at the person who has hurt you as a person that you just despise and you hate. And like, you can have those emotions, those are going to come natural, but start to see and like reframe how you can utilize this for growth and development and transformation. Because ultimately that's what happens when you have a type of traumatic experience. You can either learn from it or you can completely just allow it to destroy you, let's just say. And that's what happened. I took that whole traumatic experience and I became something new, right? I was reborn from it. And so fast forward 9 years later, you know what Joshua been doing for the past 9 years? All I've been doing is trying to understand emotions, understand holistically how does emotions impact the body, how to get rid of emotions at will, how to transmute emotions, how to deal with your childhood trauma, how to deal with your inner child, how to deal with energetic blockages, how to deal with the subconscious, how to deal with working with spirits and how allowing spirits to come to support you. You name it. The name of my game for the past 9 years was all about internal work. Healing, fucking healing. That's all I fucking did. And even to this day, and I'm being completely honest with y'all, I'm still over here trying to think to myself, what happened in these past 9 years? What did I cultivate? Because I still feel like I have my head down uh, looking in a book, trying to understand something, trying to study something, trying to read something that I still trying to figure out what did I cultivate. Because I know when I'm in certain spaces and I know when I'm talking to certain people, I know the type of impact that I have on people. But I'm still reflecting to myself, what did I really cultivate? Because I was so fucking focused. Blinders was on. I didn't win in a time capsule machine. 2017, fast forward 2025. I'm like, oh shit, they got a guy named Trump who's running in office? Like, whatever. I don't know what the fuck going on in the world. All I know is I'm trying to figure out what the fuck going on with me. You know what I'm saying? And that is where I'm at right now. And now, of course, in the midst of that, I offer services and I offer healing to other people and I'm educating other people. And this is where my heart is at. My heart is in humanity. Um, and everything that I've experienced up to this point has gotten me to this point. So, in a nutshell, you guys, my story started from a heartbreak. And as a man, for any man who's watching this, it's hard. Women, hats off, because women can do it at a faster pace. I feel like when women get hurt, yeah, they go through it, they process it, but they go back out there again. They get back in the game, coach. When men get hurt, the first thing we do is say, fuck the game, coach. I don't want to get in the game no more. Let me numb myself. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to take that route. I had many opportunities to take that route. Matter of fact, I did take that route. When after I got out of that relationship or situationship that I was in, I decided to go back to deal with some of the women that I was dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Because they were still around. So I was trying to fill my void with sex. So I'm having sex with some of these different various women and things like that. And during the sexual exchange, I'm seeing monsters. I'm seeing creatures in my visuals. So I'm like doing my thing. I'm like, I'm asking her, I'm like, what's up with you? You got something on you? I didn't even know what the fuck was going on. I just knew it was something going on. You know what I'm saying? And this is when I decided to say, you know what? I'm not having sex. I couldn't have sex around that time because I was so whatever it was like this spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it, whatever was going on with me. I was so sensitive to everything. I couldn't just be my normal self. So I decided to stop having sex. So I didn't have sex for a year. I was abstinent for a year straight, no sex. And I forgot about that shit. Um, so yeah, so I was celibate for a year, and um, yeah, so I realized that the coping mechanisms that I used to utilize before, like when I go through something, some type of sadness, stress, or whatever, I couldn't do that. And so I say it to say my journey started from a heartbreak, and now it's where I'm at. It was my medicine to try to heal my heart wounds and heal those versions of myself. Even my obsession, the obsession that I had towards this person, I realized that I didn't have no mission in life. I didn't have no direction in life. So I thought she was my mission. I thought she was my direction. All these things were just my shadows, things about myself I did not know about that finally came out because I allowed myself. And this is another thing I want to share is like, if you're gonna do something, do it all the way. Don't half-ass it. If you're gonna be with someone all the way. Don't half-ass it. Don't be like, oh, well, I fucks with her, but I don't really know. I don't really trust her like that. So I'm still kind of walking on eggshells. Don't get in a relationship because you're not gonna get the full experience. I fully let go of being in that relationship and I got the full experience. You know what the full experience was? It was beautiful bliss, harmony, and all that great shit. But it was also a fucking trauma at the end of it. I needed to experience all of that. Someone would say, oh, no, I'm not about to do that. I'm about to avoid that. That don't make no motherfucking sense. You're supposed to go through it for a reason because you would have never gravitated towards it or you never manifested it. So it's something that you're supposed to go through. I was supposed to go through that experience with that person. But rather than turning it into something that defeated me, I turned water into wine and I made it into something. So this is also a piece of encouragement, inspiration for anyone who is going through some challenges. Try to reframe it and look at it like you still got power in this. You still have the power to change what it is that you're going through. I was about to take myself out. Stab, stab. You know what I'm saying? I would not be on this mic right now. So, my story started from a romantic breakup. And there's a lot of different things I can share with you guys, but I want to try to keep this video as short, as I can, relatively short or what have you. But um the guy that you guys are listening to decided to fully focus and commit to healing himself. That's what I did for the past 8, 9 years. All I did was commit myself to healing. All I did, let me just place a little bit more emphasis on that. All I did was dedicate myself to healing myself. I didn't care about nothing else but healing myself. And then when I got into deeper inner child work, I was freed. I'm not saying that I don't have moments when I'm not feeling something, but what I'm saying is I don't have days, I have minutes. Meaning that I'm not sobbing over something for an extension long period of time. I'm processing less than 30 seconds because I became an emotional alchemist. I am a master of my fucking emotions. What did I do in 9 years? I learned how to master my emotions. This is a game changer because if you can master your emotions, you can do anything. The reason why everybody, or some people, if not everybody, the reason why they can't do the things that they do is because they're stuck in their emotions. They feel some kind of way about something and it's sabotaging them. So I'm saying all that to say, because I guess I got to say it for some fucking reason. My story started with a trauma, but it ended all for me becoming my own superhero and my own story. Right. And I hope that this story inspires someone. I hope that this does something for someone because, especially for men, like, don't allow that relationship to completely take you out. Don't allow society to take you out. Don't allow what your parents didn't do, your friends didn't do, what your environment didn't do to take you out. And it's for the sisters as well. The same thing applies for both, women and men. But I want to place emphasis on men because I know for us it's much harder because we suffer in silence. We don't like to get the support. And so by us not getting support, we're holding all this energy in, holding all these emotions in. That's not doing us it's doing us a disservice. It's not doing us no justice. And so we walk around in silent, waiting to die. And that's what's happening with me. I ain't let nobody know that I was having suicidal thoughts. I was just going to stab myself. But I kept thinking to myself, if I stab myself, how would my mama feel? How would my dad feel? How would my brothers feel? How would my friends feel knowing that I left like that? So a part of it I thought about to myself was the reason why I was able to stay in the game. The reason why I was able to stay in life itself is because I thought about how my people will, feel about this. How would they live their life knowing that I killed myself? You know? So if you are someone who do struggle with suicidal ideation, I please, please, please suggest that you reach out to me. And let's, get on a consultation. Let's talk. I have also supported people through suicidal ideation. So definitely this is not something that's new to me. And yeah, you guys, so I think I'm gonna leave on that note. So that's my story. You know what I'm saying? That's my story, you know what I'm saying? um there's more to it, right? There's more to it, of course, but I just want to share that part of it because that part of it, what I just shared, was really, really what got me to where I'm at. That is the root cause of Joshua Tree, this person that you're looking at right now with this beard. You know what I'm saying, with this all white on. I got here by going through that experience. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys go, and on that note, peace.